This is Can We Just Talk, the podcast and YouTube series where it doesn't matter if you're living under a rock. We'll fill you in on the past week's biggest, weirdest, and most impactful stories, headlines, and developments in a nice casual conversation. Set your volume and settle in, because coming to you from a random basement in New Jersey, this is Can We Just Talk. Episode 21. We apologize, we're a few minutes late, dealing with some technical difficulties, but I think we've got it sorted out by now. Richie Welbrach lost in the Richie Welbrach lost in the mix. We lost him due to technical difficulties, but we've got the rest of the crew here. Myself, Trudy Savino, Jacob Berg, Chris Sakonis, Austin D. Savino. Full studio. We'll see if we can get by without Richie this week. I think we'll be okay. And guys, I think we have a jam-packed show, and we are running a few minutes late, so we'll jump right into it. We have a busy docket to get to, some interesting stories. Jacob, let's continue like we always do.
You're not going to ask us how we are?
All right, how's everyone doing? Well, Richie's not here to do his normal thing. Chris, how are you doing? That's how my attitude depends. So, Chris, how are you doing?
Well, I was doing a lot better before you forgot to ask me how I was. Now I'm in a bad mood.
Well, you set the show off wrong, man.
Yeah.
Oh, get ready, Chris. I'm coming for you.
Uh-oh.
All right. With all jokes aside, we'll jump right into it. Chris, no, wait, who usually starts? Jacob, why don't you go ahead, kick off the show? What's the story you got for us for Can We Just Talk?
All right. So the story I got this week was from the Australian government. They're saying that the Boeing 737 MAX planes are now able to fly again. They're one of the first groups one of the first countries in the Asia Pacific region to allow that plane to fly again after the crashes that took place a couple years ago that killed hundreds tragically. And today I brought that up, and I'm gonna pull a little move like I did last time, where I'm bringing up a story, but I want to talk about something bigger. I kind of want to just rehash this whole thing with Boeing, with that scandal. In I believe it was 2018, they had multiple planes crash due to the 737 MAX engines, which were not fit to fly. They put them on their planes anyways, just to compete with Airbus. And it was a danger to society, and subsequent investigations into Boeing really showed the terrible corporate culture, terrible leadership, complete and utter denial of responsibility and following regulators. It was really, really frightening. And then, if you want to look at the other big name in the airline industry, Airbus, they, just last year settled a case for about $4 billion for a bribery scandal. And when you think about it, Boeing, Airbus, those are the planes that you fly on every day, the planes that get you to place A to place B. There are other airplane makers rather, but those are definitely the most popular. And I think that, just the signs of the poor corporate culture, poor safety standards, really, really makes me worried as someone who, enjoys the convenience of taking flights around. And I said I'm going to come at Chris because I'm coming at airplanes here. I don't know what Chris's favorite plane is, but to me, just, I had to do a project on Boeing and to uncover, to learn more about this scandal that ended in hundreds of lives taken, and to see similar things happening at other competitors, other different airplane manufacturers. I was pretty concerned.
Well, Jacob, it's interesting because whenever we talk about airplane manufacturers, it falls under the category of being an oligopoly, being a monopoly, kind of in somewhere in between there. Yeah, sure. There are other. Yes, sure. And I'm sure there's other small manufacturers, but not as large. They don't have the same type of market share that Boeing has, Airbus has. And when that happens, we see it in other industries. We see it with cable providers, not so much anymore because there's a new contestant in the market with streaming services. You see it with internet providers. You can see it in a lot of other ways, but what happens is when there's only these one or two providers that are as an option, sometimes service stinks because what are people going to do? Not use your product? Like they're not going to fly on a plane because it's made by Boeing. Most people don't check. So there's that lack of standards that they follow. Yes, there are inspections, but Boeing, I feel like every other week we're seeing like Boeing has these huge drawbacks because they missed an inspection or literally last week a plane was falling out of the air and an emergency landing had to be made. So it's weird that we are going on this crazy adventure on an airplane flying thousands of feet in the air at incredible high speeds, yet the company that is providing the machines and the planes that are capable of doing it seem to have scandals and issues on a weekly basis for creating such bad products. And Chris, that's the reason why I'm so surprised you like planes. They kind of suck.
Whoa. We are not going to take the airplane, one of mankind's great achievements, and just denigrate it because Boeing is a shitty company with shitty safety protocols. That the real problem was that there was a flawed airplane design that regulators were not on top of, that the manufacturer Boeing just sort of let slip through. And unfortunately, there were two very bad accidents before anyone really took notice that something was wrong.
But where were those accidents and who was on the flights? Were the accidents, where were they and who was on the flight?
Well, let me see here. I've got it up.
Foreign countries, because
they were in foreign countries. One was in Indonesia, the other was in Ethiopia.
And that's the thing. Americans are not going to care until Americans die in America from a plane crashing. If that happens,
that's not necessarily true because the FAA investigates all airplane crashes, whether they're in America or abroad.
Yeah, investigates is one thing, right? And that's what Jacob's saying. They're getting slapped with stuff, Chris. That's what you're saying. They're getting slapped with fines and things like that. Okay, they'll pay that. That's cost of business. They'll pay those. What will hurt them is people calling United and canceling their flight, saying, I'm going to JetBlue because they use Airbus or something like that. And if enough Americans do that, then they'll actually fixing it better, because where we're at, this is capitalism, right? So if the system allows for shortcuts, then that's what's going to happen. They're going to follow the shortcuts. Let me check on my mic here. But if oh no, hold on. If Americans die and Americans crash in America, then enough. Could you imagine if like a field trip was going cross country and families and like all the stories that would come out? That's what would actually cause changes. Because Jacob, like you said, it's greed, it's cutting corners. It's the same with like when wrestlers are cutting weight and sleeping in plastic bags. But this is like to the power, because it's capitalism. And if there's money to be made and shortcuts to be taken that only cost you a little bit when doing the right thing costs you a lot, 10 out of 10 times companies are going to do that.
Yeah, I think Austin brings up a good point, and Chris is right that they do, FAA looks into it. They grounded the 737 MAX pretty quickly after it happened. There was some pushback, of course, in our government, but it was pretty quickly that they grounded the 737 MAX. But the issue was that the FAA is clearly not independent from Boeing, as the investigation showed. And Austin brings up a good point, saying this is not a big deal. People in America, they're not going to care. And I think that he's definitely right. If something had happened on a flight in America, maybe things would be a little different. I also think that it needs to be a responsibility from the airlines as well, to make sure that they're buying quality products to push these airplane manufacturers to excel under the safety and training standards.
And it's also just a case of the market doesn't have a lot of competitors by nature, because it's a high cost of entry, high cost to manufacture these planes. There's only a handful of buyers for these planes because there's only a handful of airlines, and those have also consolidated. You hear about every other year. It feels like airlines are merging with each other. United Airlines runs like 75% of Newark Airport, so there isn't really a lot of consumer choice. I mean, most people, like you mentioned, don't even know what plane they're getting on when they're getting on it. I, of course, make a note of the exact type and model of every plane I get on, but I am very much not a normal
Chris,
consumer.
do you still like try to see if you could talk to the captain of the airplane?
No, that I don't do. No, they don't want to talk to me.
You don't say thank you or good landing.
No, I do thank them. No. But Troy's saying like if I try to like talk to them, like
You see if you can you give me a private tour of the cockpit?
Yeah, that they will not give you. Not in today's society.
Well,
9/11. That's
you know what's crazy about it though? The amount of money tied up into this, like you said, Chris, high cost of entry, right? So it's going to take multiple American failures and multiple crashes in America for anything to change. Because if it's one crash, picture it, a bunch of people are going to call United, maybe even not. They might not even think of it. If United were to actually make a change, do you know how much money it would cost to change all of their planes from Boeing to Airbus in a quick manner? Like, I don't even think there's enough planes built for them to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's never going to happen.
Well, there's also like, it's not. I'm not saying. Look, I'd have to look really into the specifics of it, so I don't want to completely absolve the airlines of responsibility. But at the end of the day, Boeing's the ones that are building these planes. Boeing are the ones that like. They're the first line of defense to make sure, like, all right, our designs are sound, our systems are sound, because increasingly airplanes are giant computers as much as they are like airplanes.
Whoa, what are you saying about pilots? So not actually pilots?
So I want to point this out, and we're talking about. Let's take a step back. Let's look about how this has happened in the past. A lot of people are pissed off about their cable companies, their internet providers, because they stunk, because there was only one or two options. Very similar situation here. Then something kind of revolutionized the market. So this is more towards cable. Streaming services came in. YouTube TV, Hulu with live television is really changing the market there because a brand new animal came to play. Let's take a look at flying. Let's take a look at the airplane industry. Right now, about 75% of the profits that these airlines are seeing are coming from business travel. With what has happened in 2020 and 2021, we've seen that a lot of people are capable of working digitally. A lot of people are capable of doing business over Zoom. I wouldn't say it'd be so far-fetched to see this revolutionary thing happen to the airline industry that was so unimaginable at one point with cable. Cable was in everyone's living room. It was thought to be necessary. No one could have imagined that today everyone is cutting the cord.
Yeah, but it's not the exact same thing. Cable was in everyone's home and was easily accessible. Planes, if you take away,
I argue that makes it even more likely for something like this to happen.
No, the only thing
it's a vastly harder market to get into, Troy.
Yeah,
I'm saying that market is going to shrink. Well, I think travel is going to go down.
Yeah, it's going to shrink, but especially if it's shrinking, they're not going to.
Profits are going to 75% of the profits these airline industries are seeing from business travel. Now that only makes up to about 15% of their volume for people who are actually traveling. It's just because flying first class costs so much more, and staying in their private lounges costs a lot extra as well. But profits are going to shrink because business is going to be done more virtual, more digital in the new digital age.
And they're going to have to look for an edge.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
It's not redoing all of their planes.
No, but I think we're going to see the airline power, the industry shrink a little bit. And I think it's going to be what we saw happen with cable that was so unimaginable.
You know what, though? I have a hot take on cable. Cable is going to come back, but it's going to look different. You want to know why? Everything now is moving to independent streams, right? So if you want to watch all Disney stuff, you got to go to Disney. If you want to watch all of, I think it's the DC Universe, you got to go to HBO Max. But you know what we're starting to see? We're starting to see bundling of streaming services, which are different channels. You know what is a bundle of a bunch of different streaming services? Basically cable. So on Hulu right now, you can get ESPN Plus, you can get this and that and this. That's essentially a cable plan. So what's going to happen is everything's going to go super individual and remote. And then the streaming services are going to start to offer the Disney Family Bundle, which is everything under Disney, and it's going to offer the music entertainment. So it's going to be all the MTVs and the VH1 and the Paramount Network. And you know what that is? Those are cable packages.
But there won't be a cable involved. That's the key difference.
No, but cable is not so much about the cable; it's about the contract you get stuck in.
The actual cable
with extra steps.
Yes, but the actual cable is what made it such a hard market to get into because it's anyone can get into that market. Then anyone can provide those streaming services. Cable was
no, you have to buy the rights. You have to buy the rights.
Yes, you have to buy the rights, but that's assuming that you think Disney is going to partner with everybody, which I don't know necessarily is going to happen. They made Disney Plus because they want to run the show themselves.
They're going to be one of those cable packages. Disney's going to buy everything, and then you're going to have to get your bundle through Disney, and it's going to be $70 to $150 a month, and you're going to be stuck in a 2-year contract because they know that works.
I'd say to Austin's point here, The difference, I think, is that now the companies are a little bit more in charge. So instead of the cable company, instead of Comcast or Xfinity coming to your door and saying, here's how much we're going to charge you, you can't get TV from anyone else. Now it's like, all right, yeah, I can get all these services individually, but now they can set the price. Like you guys said, you can get ESPN, Hulu, and Disney Plus on like a package deal. Now that they are even offering these package deals, they are basically taking the role of that cable provider and saying, all right, here's the packages we're going to offer, and we're going to be able to set our price instead of somebody else setting the price. So it's just trading one evil for another.
But back to the planes. I'm sorry, Chris, go ahead.
Yeah, I feel like we're going to get to a point pretty soon where like whatever money you would have saved by like cutting the cord and getting like a streaming service is like going to be like really non-existent because you're going to have to get so many different streaming services to get everything you want.
And the only holdout right now are local sport networks. So Yes Network, if you live in New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, parts of PA, you can only get it via cable. And I don't have cable. I have YouTube TV. So I have no way. And even if I go by MLB.TV, it's blacked out in the New York City market. So the cable companies have an absolute monopoly, and people are like, oh, we need to get on streaming services. If you're the cable company, that's your last hope to stay alive or to hold on to those local networks like FSS Sun down or Fox Sports Sun Network down in Florida or Yes Network up here. Like that's your only hope to watch those games. So this year, I think I'm gonna have to get a satellite radio subscription so I can listen to the games.
I want to digress from cable, go back to a little bit of flying and the airplane industry. I'm honestly surprised. I think we've seen a lot of the innovators of our time. I mean, you can look at a lot of the people who have jumped to space. Look at Elon Musk. He's trying to create a way to have rockets go up and then still come back down and land in an efficient way that is efficient for the wallet and efficient because it takes a lot less parts. But I'm wondering, if this is if this could be a market that someone could enter if they have a lot of money and maybe make it a lot more consistent and better products, and so we don't have to see Boeing mess up everything every like year. Why have a lot of these people not gotten into this industry if it's wide open if you have the money? Yeah, but I feel like it's not as tough as
you have to get contracts. You have to get contracts with the big companies. Sorry, go ahead.
Contracts. I'd guess contracts. And then lobbying / regulation.
That's
because
it right
I mean, if you look at the board of Boeing, I'm pretty sure like 60% have been like involved in the U.S. government in some way. I mean, yeah, it makes sense. They're a highly regulated industry, but guess what? They also got connections in Washington, and I'm sure that regulation is another barrier to entry.
And it's so regulated. It's not like a new car company coming along. Like if you're making planes right now, the only market to make are like individual planes or small charter planes. And like that's where I think the travel industry might change, right? So there's so many local regional airports that aren't these big hubs. So if I want to fly to certain parts of the country, most of the time I'm going to have to go to Newark, JFK, LaGuardia. That's it. But there's local airports all over, right? So up here, there's Morristown Airport, there's Lehigh Valley Airport, which is getting more and more. But if you think about it, if someone was able to create not an Uber for planes, because that's a little bit different, but to create like a charter system where you as an individual person can be vetted by their version of the FAA, and you can fly planes on your own certain distances. And some people may have bigger planes, and then you're allowed to operate out of these smaller airports. That's the only thing that could change it.
The other thing too is like there's one big elephant in the room that we haven't talked about yet. Is that such a large portion of like the money that goes into making airplanes has nothing to do with like airline travel. Like the military pays Boeing and these other companies like billions upon billions of dollars to build fighter jets, to build other military aircraft. And I haven't seen like the specific financials, so I may be a little bit off base. But if I had to guess, I would say that the biggest profit margins, when you account for, all the government bidding and all that, I would argue that the biggest profit margins are probably not even with like, competing with the 737. It's probably with like trying to get a new fighter jet or a new long-range bomber or an attack helicopter or something like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's where all the smart money's going in terms of innovating in the industry, and civilians just get whatever's left over.
Yeah, that's definitely an interesting point. I think when you think about government contracts, you're always like cha-ching because that they're messing up there. I wanted to go back just one thing Austin was saying, and I think that is an interesting idea. Thinking about kind of privatizing even, or just spreading out the ability to use airplanes. And I think the big thing for me, why I don't think maybe we're not ready for that yet, is just because of the sustainability issues. Yeah. Private jets, only taking a couple people around is just going to cause a lot more waste, a lot more energy usage. But I think, in the future, as we're making more and more sustainable planes, more and more sustainable energy, it might actually be an interesting thing to look into.
By the way, interesting story. Saw it a couple weeks ago. It was on 60 Minutes about Bill Gates and his carbon footprint, because he has to fly private so often. And he has his own private, because he's flying all over the world on a daily basis, pretty much. And his big project right now is like finding sustainability, finding ways, like new, weird, innovative ways you would never think of that could possibly help with our carbon issue. And he calculates on a yearly basis what his carbon footprint is based off of flying private. And he makes sure to be net zero by the end of the year. So he pays a premium to make sure that he will spend millions of dollars to eliminate his carbon footprint himself, so he can afford to technically fly private with a still net zero. I thought it was interesting because a lot of people don't realize how bad private planes are for the environment, because planes are really, really awful for our carbon footprint.
Yeah, Chris.
Awful. So Chris really likes something that is killing our
Well,
Earth.
hang on.
And
private airplanes are, but if you're looking at per person on, say, a commercial jet, like compare that to if someone were driving, like say they're going from New York to Florida, compared to driving, because remember, the plane itself generates a ton of emissions, but you have to divide it by the number of people that are using it. So per person,
you drive a Prius, like yours is fine. You should be driving everywhere.
Chris, you drive a Prius?
I do drive a Prius.
How is that so perfect yet so surprising at the same time?
How's it perfect?
It's perfect. That's just like now that I know you drive a Prius, I can't picture you driving anything else. And there's nothing wrong with driving a Prius. You're good for the environment. You're not getting any speeding tickets, and you're only
a ton of money.
Chris ain't getting a speeding ticket, I'll tell you that.
No, he's right lane gang. Am I right, Chris? Hey, it's okay. It's better to be safe. It
is.
Well, someone who's gotten in a couple accidents.
Yeah. But
Route 10 is crazy out where you are, dude. People are crazy on Route 10.
As Bobby mentioned, the small airplane, that's a whole nother story. I mean, these commercial airplanes, not so great for the environment, but like Chris said, if you're flying with, a lot of people, nearly 100 people, it's not so bad. I don't know. Chris, you should probably never fly. You have the Prius, so just drive everywhere. You'll be fine.
Well, no, because the Prius only because basically it's all electric for like a range of like 25 miles, and then it's a gas car. So it's not as big of a benefit long distance.
Oh.
You plug it in?
Yeah, you plug it in.
Your car's a plug-in? Really?
Well, yeah, that's how you get the electric charge.
Whoa. Look at that.
Wow, look at this guy.
Fancy.
I mean, it's still like, even when the battery runs out, it's still like 50 miles a gallon. So
Chris, how would you charge this at school?
Well, I wouldn't, but I didn't drive that much in school.
Oh.
But but the benefit is when I'm at home and I'm only driving like short distances, I never burn any gas. So just plug it in when I come home.
How slow is that car though? Like you press on the gas.
It's really not that slow.
Have you ever driven anything other than a Prius as a daily driver?
Not really, no.
Okay.
It's my first like regular car.
It's cool though. No, I'm not hating on it.
It's a nice car too. Troy's been in it.
It's a nice. It looks like a spaceship on the inside. It's pretty cool. I'm not gonna lie.
I've heard they're great.
They are. Highly recommend.
Jacob, could you drive a Prius? Could you switch to what you're doing for a better environment? What would that be like, switching from your car to a Prius? It'd be painful for you, I'm sure.
It would definitely be an adjustment, but everyone's got to get older. I definitely think my next car will probably be electric, at least to some extent. But I know like a lot of the electric cars they're making now kind of still have that same kick, that same 0 to 60 feel, because I think that's kind of almost a selling point to some electric cars. When you look at Tesla, it's like, wow, I'm switching to an electric car and I can go, just as fast as I did in my last one.
Faster, to be honest. Faster.
Yeah.
But Jacob,
at least for 0 to 60.
Jacob, you drive an Audi, so I don't know if your street cred could take it. The switch to a Prius. I don't know if you could handle it.
Look at this. Troy just loves to compliment me, giving me street cred. Yeah. The other day, he was talking about my eyes. You know what? This is just a feel-good moment for me every week.
Must be nice, Jacob.
By the way, Austin was talking tough talk, and as Harry Brown's wanted to point out,
it was a tough talk.
He drives a Subaru.
I do drive a Subaru. Okay,
it's a four-cylinder, 1.8 liter Subaru engine.
Yeah, you know what I was doing today? I was driving through 1.5 feet of snow.
Bobby, if you're listening still, let me know. Is it Subaru fast? You can let me know, but I don't know.
Subarus are fast. Subarus are fast cars.
Depends which one.
Yeah, the ST. I mean, maybe not my 2015 Subaru Forester with 150,000 miles on it. No, that's not fast, but it is cool and it has a really cool roof rack. But
all right, yeah. We'll continue on. Sacco, do you want to present your story of the week?
Yes. So, as you guys all are probably aware of by now, there was a massive hack with the U.S. government, Department of Defense, State Department. All these different departments got hacked. And hang on, I'm getting the specific details up here on the story.
Oh, gosh. Let's just all wait for Chris.
All right, Austin, you want to share? Austin, you want to share your?
I got it. All right. I want to make sure I get the details right. All right. All right.
Chris, relax. Chris, chill.
Have some wine, buddy. Relax.
All right. So, just have a sip of water, you asshole. All right. So, basically, a bunch of different departments got hacked. It's a huge thing. Now, executives are being required to testify before Congress about different security breaches that the company has had over the years. And there was a critical lapse in password security that went undiagnosed for years. A critical password was released on the internet. And this is, remember, a password that's used to guard critical infrastructure, important things. And the password was SolarWinds123.
And the company was SolarWinds.
What were the passwords?
The company is called SolarWinds, and the password was SolarWinds123.
And that
all lowercase, no space.
I want to fight that person. I want to fight that person. I'll tell you why, but I'll let you finish the story.
Yeah, and we also know, we don't have a name, but we know like who was supposedly responsible for setting this important password.
Who?
An intern.
Okay. Well, time out. Why is the intern in charge of choosing the password to do this? Like, that is the company's fault.
People are so complacent about their passwords, Troy.
But that is not the intern's fault. Like, why is the intern controlling something that controls like the privacy for your entire company?
I mean, the least they could have done is make it case sensitive.
Wait, so was this a master password? What was this?
It wasn't like a master basically, here's how it worked. It's not like it was one password and that's all they did and they breached it. They're still investigating the specific nature of the breach. But this was important because it was one of the potential breaches that took place. And more importantly, it sort of gives you an idea, an example of how SolarWinds was handling their cybersecurity.
So, sometimes with these hacks, though, all they need is one person's login, right? So
yes.
For my company, if you log into my computer, you get access to our CRM system, you get access to certain things, right? So essentially all that person would have to do is log into their computer. It's not like I don't think this intern was, but again, that's on the company for giving an intern access to all of those things. You can't trust people to have access, whether or not they were working on it. But what's funny, if you think about it, is releasing what the password was hurts the company. It makes the company look bad. So either someone else released it, or, which I think this is the better scenario, someone high up at the company was so mad and wants to make sure that this intern never gets a job ever again, released what the password was. Like, someone high up was like, this was Johnny Donuts. Fuck that kid. I want to make sure that kid never gets a job again. I want you to tell the media that the password was SolarWinds 123, and I want them to make fun of us, and then I want them to know that Johnny Donuts can't set a password.
All right,
and that's a much better scenario.
Hear me out. Like you're thinking like this is a great big company. They have to have plans in place. I feel like that might be the last password you check because like, what are the odds they put the password this dumb?
It's not the password. It's not the password, right? So like, I don't manage for my job. I don't manage constituent data. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not managing all this stuff. Yet you can access it via a CRM, which it's very similar to a lot of companies. If you log into my computer, you will be able to do that, just like with a lot of companies. So what they did was, their mistake was giving him access to all of those things. And I think a lot of companies are vulnerable to this because, like, even if it's two-factor authentication, a lot of it can be done right on the computer. So the company was wrong for giving an intern access. And now I'm understanding why my organization doesn't give interns access, because I've been asking for intern access for a long time. And now I actually understand it. So that helped me. I need to text my boss.
But, and I think Harry brings up a good point. Like, people are complacent about passwords, and it's not just companies. It's like people with their own personal accounts. Like, they think it'll never happen to them. Like, no, everyone thinks hacking is something that happens to other people. They deliberately set a very basic password, and it's nothing new. Like, a good example of this was, and this is a true story, the U.S. nuclear codes in the mid 20th century for like 20 years, from like the 50s to the early 70s. It was an 8-digit code, and it had to be that specific code if, God forbid, the president never had to order the launch of nuclear weapons. Do you want to know what the code was? It was declassified after they changed
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
008 1355.
Nope. Jacob.
Wow.
I'm gonna guess all 8s.
You were close. You were the closest. It was all zeros.
Oh my gosh.
So this is nothing. The point I'm trying to make with that historical anecdote, it's true. You can look it up. Is that password complacency has been something that goes back decades. It's nothing new. Doesn't really surprise me that it's.
When was this?
Which one? The SolarWinds or the nuclear one?
The nuclear one.
It was in the mid 20th. I want to say it was like the 50s.
Do you remember when the Star Gazette came out that morning and you're like, yoinks!
Gosh,
what is happening? This country is going to
open
shit.
sesame like the rest of us. That's a good password.
You remember it like it was yesterday.
No, I don't remember any of this.
Troy, I think a good thing for this topic, can everyone go around and tell us what their passwords are?
This is the second time we talk about passwords. Chris, I remember yours when we did the last episode, it was Muffin 420. Did you change it or no?
Yes, I changed it to
Screw
Troy, capital S, capital T, 27.
I hope I just actually guessed Chris's password being Muffin 420.
I would not give Muffin that much importance in my passwords.
I was gonna say, Troy, we're a pro password podcast. We just talk about passwords all the time. So if you're listening and you haven't changed your password, it's time.
Second reminder. Get on that shit.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I try to update on a regular basis, like I'm supposed to. One time I saw there was like a login attempt on Facebook, so I was like, all right, we're gonna do dual authentication requirement. Text me if I want to log in, which can someone still get into my login if I have dual authentication on?
You know what? No, they can't, because it goes to your phone. So if it's
they need the text. They need the text code.
They need the text. So I think my car warranty company got hacked because they keep calling me, asking me for all my info, and I keep giving them the info on my car and my social and my driver's license, but they keep losing it and they keep calling me back. I get a call like twice a day.
Yeah, is everyone else's car warranty up? They got to renew their car warranties.
It's crazy.
I mean, it wasn't my car warranty, but I have gotten several messages that I am related to the royal family in Nigeria, and that I need to give my credit information in order for them to verify my role as like the 8th in the line for the king of Nigeria.
Chris, wait, hold on. You guys don't hear about that? Social security officer calling you guys, telling
I think they got hacked because they keep asking me.
I was gonna say that might be real for Chris though. The social security office might be giving him a call on a regular basis, so that could be accurate.
So you know that not like the Nigerian prince scam where it's like we have a large amount of money. So I work at a nonprofit, and one of my coworkers got an email like that. It's like, I need your help. I have $90,000. I'll give you 50 of it if you let me. Blah blah blah. So he printed that email out and he brought it to my boss, and he's like, "Boss, I got a plan for us to hit goal this year." We did not do that because
I've never.
And I was
gotten
joking about the car warranty. Don't give them your information.
I've never got one of those emails.
You don't have any money.
They don't know that. The Nigerian prince doesn't know that.
They know you're broke.
Doubt it. Yeah, I don't know. Passwords, update them. This is our public service announcement. Don't be SolarWinds. Don't just put Austin D. Savino 123. Austin, you better go update your password after this. Don't just do Austin D. Savino 123. Be smarter than that. Don't be the intern. But more importantly, don't be the boss at the SolarWinds that put the intern in charge of choosing the password.
No,
it's the person who put the intern in charge of choosing the password's fault.
Their system should not have allowed that password to be entered, because what it probably was, it was the password to his computer, and they didn't protect access once logged into his computer and their network to access the data that they got. Because if they use any type of, like, you use Salesforce, Troy, Jacob, I don't know if you use Salesforce for your job, but Salesforce is a CRM, which is a customer relationship management tool. So when you have email lists, when you have marketing lists, when you have just like a lot of customers and you need a place to store their data, people don't have giant basements filled with files. It's all online. But if you don't protect that, and you don't have dual verification on that, and you don't have anything protecting it other than a login to a computer that, when he created the login, it wasn't like, you cannot use the name of this company as a login. Like, that's where the problems are. It's the IT person's, it's the software company's fault for allowing this. And obviously, this kid is dumb for setting his password as SolarWinds, but it's probably some kid doing like a winter thing, and he's like, screw this. Everything I use my face to unlock, I'm just going to make it SolarWinds. Or even worse, what it probably was, because I've been in this situation before, some boss was setting up the computer for the intern to give him the intern, and they're like, let's just make it SolarWinds 123, and I'll give it to the kid and give him a note. And the kid probably never changed his password.
I secretly think it was the CEO, and he just blamed on an intern, to be honest. That's what I think it is. I think that's what happened. But like I said, PSA of the week, update your passwords. Don't be this guy. Austin, you want to go ahead and share your story of the week?
Oh, boy, do I. It's really tough when you see someone else living your dream. You know what I'm saying? Like, you look at Dwayne Wade and you're like, man, I wish I could do that. You look at me and you, the viewer, is like, man, I wish I could be that person. It's tough when you see someone living your dream. And boys, someone is living our dream. An Ohio man is marking the Christian tradition of Lent by giving up solid foods for 46 days and getting the majority of his sustenance from beer. The man's name is Del Hall. He lives in Cincinnati, probably good friends with Bobby, who was on the show a couple weeks ago. Said his Lent diet now includes only beer, water, black coffee, and herbal tea. And as of his Friday morning weigh-in and day 3 of his diet, he was down 5.8 pounds. He's done this twice. He did it in 2019 and he did it in 2020. You know how much weight this man lost both times he did that?
How much?
40 to 50 pounds.
It sounds like the guy just likes it. I don't know.
And he's drinking only like 3 to 5 beers a day. That's it. So he's just, I guess you can herbal tea, beer, water, and coffee. I don't know where you're getting your protein. I don't know where you're getting your
carbs. It's all carbs from the beer. He's not drinking light beer. Yeah. I don't think you could do it on Michelob Ultra.
My question is, if you had to only eat or drink a small set of foods for 46 days, is there anything you think you could eat every day for 46 days? I think I could do it on tapioca pudding, raisins, and
that's Chris's. That's
salmon.
Chris's. Salmon. That's 3 things. That's not one thing.
Well, his had 3. All right, so one thing that I could eat. I think
just give me a loaf of bread every day. I could just eat a loaf of bread.
No butter. You're going dry.
I'll give me a Panera.
With a loaf
give me a
Panera
bread is better than bread.
Give me a Panera baguette. I could do it easily.
Did you just say dry bread is better than lubricated bread with butter or olive oil?
Yes, I did.
It's not better.
Wait. Are you talking olive oil or are you talking butter? I said specifically butter.
What was it like being raised on the cold tundra of Siberia, Russia?
Excuse me?
Jeez.
No. I like it with olive oil. I don't like it with butter. I specifically said I would rather have dry bread than bread with butter.
Really? Why is that? Who hurt you?
I never know. I've had it. I've had bread with butter. Don't get me wrong.
Jacob doesn't like butter either.
I just don't.
You guys.
I don't
like butter.
I'd rather have Italian bread or French bread or whatever without it. That's just my
dry. You just want a dry mouth.
If those are my two choices, yes. If I have the option of olive oil, then I go with the olive oil.
Now I see why we stopped polar sports. Well,
you were the one that stopped polar sports. Don't throw that on me.
I think bread's a safe play. I think it's very basic. It's not going to be like I'm going to start gagging from the taste of it. Like it's just, and honestly, I eat bread on pretty much a daily basis anyway.
You could not do 46 days of only bread. You would go insane. You could not eat bland.
I mean, what am I going to be able to do for 40 days straight anyway? If there's going to be something, it's going to be bread. Like, what would be the better option there?
Bread with butter?
He's drinking beer. Like, that's just liquid bread.
Okay, yeah.
All right. If we're thinking pragmatically about this, you need foods that will hit the 3 macro groups. You're right. Right amount of protein, right amount of fats.
Chris, are you a weightlifter, Chris? Are you a bodybuilder?
I don't know about that, but I do like to exercise, yes. So you need something like chicken, a lot of protein, tastes good. Rice would be a good source of carbs, and they go well together. Chicken and rice go well together. And I think bread would be a good third side.
Well, you guys are missing the point. It's one thing. You
take
one thing.
Is it just one
thing? Yeah, just one thing, and then you can also have
chicken, just plain chicken,
just grilled chicken, dry grilled chicken.
Why is it dry? Why can't it be good chicken?
Because this man just said he doesn't like butter on his bread. You think he's putting
okay? Now you're constructing a straw man.
It's all about how you.
I think, in my opinion, on butter on bread somehow translates to chicken.
This man takes a piece of chicken breast, puts it in the oven at 350 for 2 hours, and takes it out, and he's like, "That's delicious. I don't eat salt and pepper. That's too spicy."
Easier on the teeth.
Chris,
but seriously though, if you gave me this challenge to do one food, I think chicken, it has a lot of protein, has a good amount of carbs, not overloading with fats. Like, here's the thing: this guy is drinking just beer, right?
Well, he's got some other drinks.
Well, okay, but it's a predominantly beer-based diet. He's losing the weight because if you're just drinking beer, it's not a ton of calories. But it's not good weight loss. Like he's probably losing a lot of muscle. He's probably not losing a lot of fat. I don't want to know what his vital signs are because I'm sure that's
his blood pressure went down.
What's his poop look like?
Went down. I do want to know what his poop looks like.
It has to be liquid. It has to be all liquid.
Let me find his name. I'll find him on Facebook.
Okay, but if he's the source of the information, he's not going to give you the complete. He's not going to give you the complete picture. He's going to tell you the metrics that improved and not the metrics that didn't improve or got worse.
Blood pressure and cholesterol improved. It's fasting. It's essentially fasting for 46 days, which the human body is capable of doing.
You have to have no energy. And first of all, this is the only thing he's getting substance from, food-wise.
It's sustenance, not substance.
Okay, fine. Sustenance. Substance. He's getting some
sustenance.
Yeah, but there's some substance.
Sustenance.
Right? There's some substance to the food?
No, he said specifically substance. He was right in that part.
Yeah.
Let me go with the joke.
So does that mean if he's eating breakfast before work, is it like the Heineken commercial? Can he drink non-alcoholic beer? You know what I mean?
Why would you do that?
Because you gotta eat some, you gotta get some food in you before work.
Well, that's probably with a black coffee.
Calories, not food.
The black coffee helps though. It's a good appetite suppressant.
But there's no
this is fasting, and the human body, monks have done this, religious leaders have done this, people do this in fasting is not new, but it's why
Dell from Cincinnati knows how to fast like a monk.
He stumbled upon it, and he did. The reason this is catching headlines is because it's beer and it's fun to talk about. That's all.
Yeah. I mean, I've done I'm sorry.
Oh, you go, Chris.
Oh, I was gonna say I've done like when I was trying to lose weight, I did the 18-hour fast. So I kind of know some of the tricks to suppressing the appetite, and black coffee is my go-to now. So
can we ask
him beer though?
What did your poop look like after that 18-hour fast?
Look the same as it always does.
What's your poop usually look like, Chris?
Like it's normal. There's nothing wrong with it. Like, what kind of a question is that?
Can you send Troy a photo? He'll put it up.
No.
Jacob's been trying to get it.
I'll tell you this much. This is what I thought of when I read this story, and I'll tell you this much. This man's colon is cleaner than Troy after I wash him off with a freaking fire hose.
Whoa!
What?
Whoa!
James, is that like a dream or something you've had? What are you talking about?
I think we've stumbled on a breakthrough here.
Wait, how many likes for us to post?
No,
a video?
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it. I'm not Chris.
Jacob,
I'm not going to be dumb enough to say like a number.
Jacob,
James is going to decide on this.
Troy, how many TikTok likes?
I'm not getting
sprayed by a video.
I'll take 2 TikTok likes to clean Troy with a fire hose.
No. Chris be like 17. I'll do it.
No, at least
you
at least have to do it in the triple digits. Like, come on, Troy. Now you're just insulting my intelligence.
Chris, will you let Jacob shoot you with a fire hose for 100 likes?
No.
200 likes.
No.
300 likes.
I'm not naming.
Come on, Chris. We'll find a hydrant. We'll get a hose. It'll all work out great.
My new house has a hose hookup here.
There we go. Perfect. We're already set up.
Jacob will be wearing his denim shorts. He'll wait for you to come outside.
No, I think that would be good if we did Troy getting washed down by Jacob and we compare Troy to this man's colon. And I can go do a colonoscopy on this man.
For science.
TikTok, how many likes?
No. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this. We're getting into uncharted territory here, please. To figure this out, if we want to do it better, someone can just drink beer for 40 days. So, Jacob, if you want to just drink beer for 40 days, you can go ahead and do it.
Can I say something, Troy, real quick, and then I'll shut up? Preventative care is incredibly important when it comes to cancer. I know we joke about colonoscopies, but if you're listening to this and you're of age and you haven't gotten your colonoscopy yet, I'm looking at you, Chris, go get it. Colorectal cancer is 80 to 90% preventable if it's detected early. So I know no one likes getting passed out and having a tube and a camera shoved up to your butt after having diarrhea for 2 days. No one likes that. But please, if you're listening to this and you're due for a colonoscopy or you're due for a mammogram or if you're due for any type of preventative care, please go get it done.
So moving on to the next topic here. We'll wrap it up on this final conversation here. I don't know if you guys saw Twitter announced a pretty big update coming soon. One of the biggest features that they've added in a long time, I'd say. And it's getting a little backlash, but they announced they're bringing in a paid super follow feature. So what that means is they're announcing a big pair of upcoming features. The one of them being the ability for users to charge their followers to have access to additional content, whether that be special tweets, whether that be like a newsletter that they put out on a daily basis. Twitter is now going to allow users to charge their followers to see access to that tweet. So you can kind of think of it like an OnlyFans for Twitter, which is kind of strange.
Well, a paywall, not an OnlyFans.
Yeah, but that's the model that is kind of following there. Like you have to pay for access to explicit content. And
explicit.
I feel like Twitter is going down a bad
Twitter
hole.
You on, Troy? Explicit.
I feel like Twitter is going down a bad path here. Like when you put a feature in your system like this, I think you're going to create a lot of problems. And I said this earlier when we were talking about it off the show. Someone who could really thrive in an environment like this, Donald Trump. His followers.
Too bad he's banned.
His followers be willing to pay $20 a month to see his tweets if he was exclusively Twitter only. So it makes you think when a feature like this is in, what's going to start happening to Twitter? Because I feel like they're going to go down a very weird path when there's money involved.
It's not going to happen. Troy, when did this say they're actually rolling it out?
Yeah.
Or it's just an idea that they've floated around?
This is happening.
It's going to go poorly for them because when have you ever been on Twitter and you're like the only times I've ever said I can't believe this website is free is when I'm seeing really, really stupid tweets. And other than that, I'm never like, oh man, I love Lindsay Adler's tweets, who's the beat reporter for the Yankees, so much that I'm going to pay for her tweets. No, I pay for the Athletic so I can read her column. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's the age of the digital influencers. So like this is going to be really good for people who are big on TikTok, but I'm interested to see what people are willing to do, because I think that any TikTok influencer who says you got to pay for my premium content on Twitter, I feel like they're going to get a lot of backlash here. Like a lot. It's going to be a bit. They get made fun of when they have meet and greets and it costs some money to pay to see them, let alone to see their content.
Gen Zs don't have self-confidence. How is Gen Zs going to have $20 a month? I'm just kidding. Gen Z is like the most confident generation there is. But like, think like the influencers, their followers don't have a ton of money to shell out every month.
Yeah,
like,
but they're willing to spend it on content. That's one of the areas Gen Z and millennials spend most of, like they're most willing to spend money on is content.
That's not what I spend money on.
But like, not all content's made alike. Like, there's some content worth paying for, like journalism.
Like what?
Athletic. That's worth the subscription.
Premium high school football beat writers for New Jersey.
I hate that NJ.com put up that paywall. I hate it.
Yeah, I feel like high school is one of the things that like probably should be free. I don't know. That's just my take on it. But
education,
yeah, like at that level of the game, like college and pro, like those beat writers, like you need the subscription model to survive. But
I'm just surprised that this is a feature on Twitter.
But like, the tweets do not fall under that category. For me.
I could see this being something on like Instagram, maybe
TikTok. Like I can see it on TikTok, right? Like
I would not
everyone loves David Dobrik or like the Frenemies TikTok. People, I bet, would pay
YouTube
a dollar a month. Why can't I say that?
Like YouTube, I could see it being something. Twitter, I feel like that goes against everything about Twitter. It's like a place where you just like literally put out what you're thinking. Everyone can see it. Like this feels very like opposite of what Twitter is all about. And not that this is going to be like every Twitter user uses this. It's going to be obviously for like exclusive Twitter users, celebrities, type of things like that. And most of them probably still won't use it. I think this is going to be big. Like I said, I think the person who would do the best on this would have been Donald Trump. But now that he's banned from Twitter, it's too bad for him. Like, I think those are the types of people who are going to get followers. People with like a cult following.
You know what this is going to turn into? You know how like Instagram started stories like Snapchat had?
Yeah.
Twitter is starting OnlyFans. Like
that's what I'm saying.
No, I'm not saying. I'm literally saying like porn. Like
that's what I am saying. Like that was what I was saying. Like they're gonna go down a weird path because this is what's gonna happen. What other people? Like what else are people gonna be paying for on this? Like exclusive tweets? Who cares?
Percy Teigen.
Like, this is gonna be like this is absolutely what's gonna happen to Twitter if they introduce this.
I'll give my take on this. I don't think it's quite as bad as you think, and I think that you can see with sites like OnlyFans, and there are non-pornographic sites where you can support content creators as well. People just like make videos, make shows, basically the same thing as YouTube, but you have to pay to get a subscription. There are websites that have some traction there, and I think. True. The thing is that, content creators are saying, you know what, I can charge people some money to see my streams, to see my videos, to see the things that I do. And I can get away from this sort of YouTube or Twitter where it's like, I'm really only making money off clicks and ad revenue. They've seen that, I can go to sites and I can make money off, paywall services, applications where they can charge a subscription. And I think what they're trying to do is just get ahead of the curve. I think they want to make sure that they're keeping all the content creators on their site. They want to make sure that Twitter's got the best people. And in order to stop some of the more prominent people from saying, all right, I could go make more money elsewhere, they're going to add this feature and say, all right, if you want to, you can do it. I don't think many people will embrace it to start off. I don't think many people will immediately switch their Twitter to the paid or the super like or super follow, whatever it is. But I think eventually it will help them in the long run, especially when they think of content creators.
I wanted
one person.
Go ahead, you can answer this, and then I want to tell you my thoughts on this.
There's one person, but it's not tweets. It's Dan Le Batard. I'll pay wherever.
Yeah, but that's a medium people are that's paying for SiriusXM. Like
I wouldn't pay for his tweets.
So what I'm saying is this is weird that it's happening for Twitter, because when I think of Twitter, no one is like first outlet is Twitter. I don't think of that for anybody. You can think of a lot of TikTok influencers now. Their first place you go is TikTok. Instagram, there's Instagram models, like Instagram influencers. That's a big place for them to be. YouTubers, like we talk about David Dobrik, like we talk about the YouTube stars, PewDiePie, that kind of stuff. That is YouTube. Twitter, like everyone's on. A lot of people are on it, but that's just like another outlet for them. I don't think of Twitter as being a home for anybody, to be honest. Like it's another outlet people go to share their thoughts and you can get other content from. But besides like journalism and media, like Twitter is really not like the home of an influencer. I mean, am I wrong about that? Can you guys think
you're
about
right.
Like,
why would you pay money for an influencer?
That's what I'm saying. I don't. Well, I could see it for YouTube. I could see it for TikTok. I could see it for Instagram. I can't see it for Twitter.
If Twitter doesn't have a lot of influencers, then it's people like making content, people publishing things. Then it makes more sense to do a pay thing. You're right. If it was all like influencers, no one's going to want to pay to see that.
But they might. I think they're more willing to pay.
There's also one other thing about this, that Twitter, of all of the mediums out there on social media, whatever, it is the medium that is the easiest one to, like, say you have, I have exclusive tweets for $5.99. Here's the problem. One of your subscribers, all they have to do is screenshot it and post it as a picture on their free Twitter feed. And then you've just rendered the entire service useless. Yep. That's the issue with it. Like, you can't do that with, say if Le Batard started like a podcast company for his podcast and he wanted to do like a subscription model, just as an example. Like, you can't copy and paste an hour-long podcast and pirate it. You could do that very easily with a tweet. Same thing with the Athletic article. The Athletic runs like a 1,000-word feature on Garrett Cole. Like, that's not something you can just copy and paste like in full. Like, Twitter is the easiest one to do that, and that makes it kind of redundant.
Instagram too. I mean, just take a screenshot of the picture.
Literally, yes.
Any short medium like this, like I don't see why there's a need for paid access to any of this, because I think there's so many ways around it.
You know who might be doing this is news outlets, because people are getting their news.
They already do it though. Like
they do it on their website, but they don't do it on their tweets. So maybe if you want the latest breaking news from the AP, you're gonna have to pay $1.99 a year.
Some tweets they do. Like if you click enough New York Times tweets in a row, it will be like you've hit your limit for the week.
Yeah, but they might be able.
That's for the article, not for the tweet itself.
Like, imagine if the New York Times could share a thread of a story, which people are a lot more likely to read than clicking onto another website. And it might be, okay, if an article is 500 words, how many tweets is that? That's only 5 tweets, 6 tweets, maybe even less.
It's a change. It's a change.
That might be how they're getting their news out. And it's like, you know what? The New York Times website is going to be free. But if you want to read our stuff, which we're going to put into thread form, because like if you look at newspapers, that's what they're doing anyway. Newspapers, they have to write their articles at like a 4th grade or 5th grade reading level so that it's easy to read quickly. You know what I'm saying? Not that people are dumb. They're just doing it so that people can read it quickly and retain that info. Look at the outlet. It's not kids standing on a corner going, extra, extra, read all about it. And Chris is like, dang, there's too many young kids around here. But now it's all on Twitter, and that's where everyone's getting their news. So the New York Times might be like, you know what? I'm going to make our website free for our dedicated listeners, but all those people that are retweeting us or whatever, it may be, you know, you have to pay $2.99 a month to get access to their threads, which they could create as the new front page, could be pinned tweets. You know what I'm saying?
I don't think we'll see the New York Times or any journalist, not journalists maybe, any source like that, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, the Washington Post. I don't think we'll ever see them become like an exclusive thing, because I think Twitter is a great way to get new subscribers to come into their website. And I think if it's just like, hey, come pay for our subscription on Twitter, people aren't going to be inclined. There's no reason for them to do that. They haven't had that taste. That Twitter is the taste. It is the appetizer to get people to be pulled in.
But
and I don't think you can take that away from the situation.
Think about it. There's so many analytics on social media. For example, these are random numbers. I'm not trying to make these accurate. Wall Street Journal, they know on any given tweet that will be 100,000 eyeballs. Again, I'm just saying, right? That'll be 100,000 eyeballs. They know they have a percentage of what that 100,000, what percentage converts into a paid subscription. It's probably like 1% or even less. But it's only converted when they go to a website. Imagine if they take that extra click and that extra step out of that transaction. If they can take that 1% and make that into a 5% conversion from that 100,000 views, that's going to be a higher profit margin for them. So if they can take that point of sale and that point of transaction and bring it one step closer to those new people they're bringing in, that could potentially be more money for them. Sorry, go ahead, Jacob.
I was just going to say, I agree, Austin. And I think, this also thinks about different ways of like people consuming media. Like, when we had this podcast early on, Troy would send us websites, right? From random news places, and they basically just make your computer crash because they're running like 8,000 different ads on the side of your screen. Like, if you think about, I know that the news companies, as much as they like to make money off that, they know that customers don't like that. So if they can transition away from making money from news clicks, from advertising clicks, to charging people a smaller amount in a straight up charge to get into their articles, I think that it's at least something that they'll consider. Maybe it won't be beneficial for them yet, but I think it'll be something they'll think about.
Let me tell you why I think this will definitely not happen. Why the New York Times, these sources will never do this. At the end of the day, yes, they're a business. They're looking to make money. But when we hit a point where news sources are becoming, you have to pay to get the news, that's a very dangerous point to get to. And I don't think
now.
No, because the New York Times has free options. They have Twitter. That is still a free option. They have push notifications with the app. That is still a free option.
It's not free. You need internet access and a device. It's not free.
Very different. Having internet access is a lot more accessible right now than for people who are not only having internet access, but paying for a subscription. Subscription is very different than just having internet access. That's a full nother step. Now, I just don't think our society is ready to make the jump from information and credible news sources, especially right now. This would be a very bad time to do this, about where we're already in the middle of where do we trust news coming from. Should we limit news even more by making everything paid for? A lot of people don't have a New York Times subscription, but they still get free news updates because they subscribe on Twitter, because they follow on the app and get the notifications. If you take all of that away and you make it so you need to subscribe and you need to pay to get any source from them, is an awful look for journalists. Awful.
But it's not going to be everything. It might just be some of their tweets. So I'd rather pay $5 for a year of unlimited New York Times news via Twitter than $10 a month.
Yeah, but they're not going to get rid of that. They're not going to get rid of the monthly.
Yeah, but it's an additional option. I don't pay for the New York Times right now because it's too much a month. I wouldn't read it enough. You know what? I'm telling you, I probably would pay $5 a year if it's synced up to my Apple Pay.
$5 a month. $5 a month.
Okay, well, that's different. I wouldn't do that.
It's too much.
But there are some people that may. Like, there's that extra conversion layer that, like any job you have, there's point of sale and there's people that have converted, and then there's almost converted. No matter what your job is, there's almost converted. And if this is that extra step to get that almost converted, it's not going to stop people. Are you going to unfollow New York Times if they do this?
Well, yeah, if I have to pay for it.
No, but it's not all of their tweets. It's just some of them.
Yeah. You're kind of assuming that it's going to be all or nothing. I'm sure that they're not going to move 100% of their content like that.
What would be their extra exclusive content people would pay for?
Maybe just extra articles or specific things. Maybe a specific newsletter. If you wanted to say, I want a newsletter on this topic.
Anyone who's interested in doing that will already be paying for the thing that costs more, $17 a month.
That you would think that, but there's always that group that's almost there. That's ready to pull the trigger, but it's not.
I'll tell you this much. I'm in that same boat Austin is describing with Bloomberg right now. I don't get it for free. I can sign up for their newsletters, but every single one of their articles is locked. I can't click into the newsletter and read the article. And I'm about this close to pulling the trigger on that. There's like a free trial for a couple bucks a month.
How much is it
it's
usually?
Like $2 a month, and then after the trial year, it goes higher. I'm not sure, but
the journal is the journal's like $40 a month. It's crazy.
I know, but I mean, there's always different. They're all going to do it in different ways, and I don't think Troy. I think you're right. Like they're not going to do all or nothing. It's not going to transition to where I'm going to start charging people money to view
For
my
news.
tweets because that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, demand's not there.
But I think that, this can work in conjunction with the platform that they already have set up.
We'll see. I think it's maybe in a couple of years, we'll see how it transitions in. I think it's going to be a tough thing to get through. Sacco, your thoughts on this?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, even with like more substantive media than Twitter, like there is a certain kind of media that has to, like, it has to be a certain kind of market that you're marketing to. If you're marketing to like a very niche like topic or niche like subject, I don't know how to describe it, but like, and you have a small but dedicated group of people that are willing to pay, then this is probably the right business model for you. But if you're in like the growth phase and you're trying to attract as many new customers, eyeballs, whatever it may be, then going premium could be the worst thing ever. I'll give you a point, and Troy's going to yell at me for this, but the Champions League, it was on Fox. You can get it for free. Jacob knows what I'm talking about. You can get it for free. Watch it on TV.
Always soccer and playing.
Will you let me finish the point, Troy?
I relate. I can relate here.
All right, let me explain for those who may not know. For years, the Champions League was on. It was on ESPN back in like the 2000s, and it was on Fox for a few years. And you could watch at least a couple of group stage games every match day or every knockout round, whatever, on Fox Sports 1, Fox Sports 2, all these other channels. And the ones that you couldn't, you could stream as long as you had like a cable subscription. So that's how they did it. But they went to first TNT, which was paired up with Bleacher Report Live, and now it's on CBS All Access. They'll put like 3 games the whole year on CBS Sports Network or CBS, and then the rest of it will all be on like Paramount Plus, CBS Plus, whatever they call it. And that's great for the people who maybe are willing to pay for and don't have cable, that are already diehard Champions League fans. But the point I'm trying to make is soccer ratings for that specific competition have been steadily sloping up. Now they're going to plateau because the people who haven't already converted are not going to pay just to try out the Champions League.
I agree. I agree with micro influencers. I think could I'm thinking like, there's some people that, like the developer of this video game that I really, really love. I might pay to follow their tweets if they were putting out different types of content, right? So these micro influencers that have a high level of loyalty and engagement, but a low level of reach, but those people are fanatical about it. But I just want to clarify, are you talking about the sport that can end after 2 hours in a 0-0 score? Is that the sport you're talking about?
I'm not going to tolerate any soccer.
It's crazy to have to pay to watch.
Why would you pay 2 hours to watch a game that ends 0-0 and everyone flopping around like they got shot with an imaginary bullet?
Excuse me. All right. If you want to see real flopping, go to the NBA.
Oh, please. At least they score. At least it's consistent scoring and it's exciting.
It's an NBA game ever ended 0-0?
Well, no, but that's not the point.
Exactly.
Here's hold on. Austin,
the tension is the point.
You've just been overstimulated to the fact that you need to see somebody scoring every other second. Otherwise,
bunch
you're
of
not
goldfish brains.
There are so many double entendres.
Chris, you're talking about the tension. There's so much tension, but at the end of the game, nothing happens. It just the tension doesn't break. So you just leave with full tension.
You're watching a couple fight in Walmart. You're watching a couple fight in Walmart. There's tension, but there's no ending to it. They just leave and you're still fighting. I mean, I'm an American. I want stimulation. I want home runs. I want slam dunks, and I want NHL-style shootouts with teeth-shattering, bone-crunching hits into the plexiglass. I don't want none of this soccer nonsense. I'm an American.
Okay, now that we've endured all of that, I don't think you guys are fully appreciating when there's like say you're in the second leg of a quarterfinal tie in the Champions League. Like you're down 1-0, you need an away goal in order to advance. Like there's a lot of tension on both sides. Am I capturing this right, Jacob?
Chris, I would argue that penalty shootouts are one of the most suspenseful things in sports.
Oh no, penalty shootouts. I hate penalty shootouts.
I would agree.
How the NFL does overtime.
I would agree. Why do they not have penalty shootouts in the Premier League? Because they're dumb and they don't know how to put a good game together.
Here's what soccer should do. Soccer should do what they did in the old American Soccer League, where they have the hockey style shootouts. You start like 35 yards out from the goal. You have 5 seconds to get it. Go watch it on YouTube.
This is not a soccer pack. I'm done. We're not talking about soccer. How does this always happen? We're not talking.
Why we're not talking about soccer?
Polar soccer next week.
No, we're done.
I'm down.
We're done.
I'm down.
In all seriousness, I've been saying this, Troy. I really want to get into soccer. Like I've been saying this for a couple of years. I'm playing a character. Like I've been to a Red Bulls game. It was awesome. Yeah, I mean that's true.
Bundesliga on ESPN Plus, Austin.
That's too much.
There you go. Premier League on Peacock.
I mean, right there. That comment though is so accurate.
I can't do soccer. It's I can't do a game that's going to end in a tie. I can't follow a league that literally doesn't have a playoff system in place. It's just you need a second league for your playoffs. Like, please get out of here.
For all of the countries.
I don't want it. That's the World Cup. Why do we have to do it every single year? Just wait for the World Cup.
I'm sorry, Troy.
The World Cup is international.
Yeah,
if you don't, then just follow the Champions League. You don't have to follow a team.
No, I don't want the Champions League.
If you're like, I want to watch the best teams of all of soccer. I want to watch only them play, and I want to see the best stars play against each other. Then just watch the Champions League. No one's gonna hate you for it.
That's dumb.
MLS or die, baby.
That's you know why I can't just do that? Because I need to know what team gets to the Champions League, and the only way I can figure that out is if I actually watch the leagues themselves.
Okay,
to figure out who the top 4 teams are from the Premier League. And this is where we're at in the conversation. You're not going to be able to tell me anything that makes me change my opinion on soccer tonight.
No, Troy,
I've suffered through a year of soccer.
Let me say one thing.
Go ahead. What are you going to say that's going to change my mind?
You've watched college football for a long time, right?
Yeah, and I don't love it that much.
Let me finish.
Okay.
You watched it when it had no playoff, right? And there were conference titles and then the BCS.
No, not really. And Chris, you know my thoughts on how college football is broken. So like, it's not.
But that's the playoff. That's different. I'm saying when there was no playoff, and I would argue college football was better back then. But
it still wasn't great though. Like there's still a lot.
Oh no, they need to expand the playoff to 24 teams.
Exactly. So we'll wrap it up here. Soccer has brought an end to this show. We're gonna cut it before we get too much more into why I hate soccer as a game, as a sport, as a league to need to follow, because it makes no sense. But we'll leave it there. I won't go too far into it. It's been a busy episode. Richie, you've been very quiet today, so we'll let you sit back.
I do want to say, have you seen that one movie that was in the 80s that had that?
So just like Richie.
One guy in it.
Uncanny. It's uncanny. Episode 21. Episode 21. Can we just talk in the books? Make sure to keep it live. We got more content coming out within the next week. And make sure to follow along with our other podcasts with Deep Fried Medicine and Polar Music. And we'll have more content coming out.
I was on Polar Music this week.
All right, we're gonna wrap it up. All right, I'm just gonna wrap it up right here. Can we just talk? Episode 21 in the books.
Bye, guys.